Welcome to the Picks from the Yard podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Salvatore. Just a humble caddy trying to scratch out winners every week for you guys. Along with my friends, family, even acquaintances are welcome as long as they provide winners. Now that they've gone and legalized gambling here in Jersey, we're going to provide you with the hot selections every week. Picks from the Yard, week 17 of the NFL. I can't believe it's this is it, the final week of the season. It flies by quicker every single year. We had an early Christmas present last week, a winning record, which has become lately it's 3 out of 4 weeks we had winning records. So it's we're eking it out the end of the year. So hopefully we'll finish strong. This is a dangerous week to be out there gambling. This is a true degenerates week because there's teams that rest guys. It's tough. It's tough to navigate, but we're gonna try to help you guys out and get you through the season here before the playoffs kick off. I'd like to introduce my guests, my brother, Richard the Math Whisperer Salvatore.
It's great to be back. Week 17 it's a puzzle. It's different than any other week of the NFL season, but I think we figured some stuff out. I think we have some good angles. I like the direction we're going, and we got a couple of college games. We got a few college games going too. So
a safety net, hopefully.
That's right.
College games, but we'll see how that works. I think week 1 and 17 are the 2
They're
weeks
tough.
that are really tough. You don't know what's going on. Not that we do during the middle of the season anyway, but I digress. We have in studio our cousin, Eric Holgerson. We always try to get him in over the holidays. I'm glad you came back. Big Bear. He's got all his Bears gear on. I have my Jets gear on. We don't, even though it was a tough year.
That's right.
Gotta support.
That's right. Bear down, baby.
good.
And we're bringing an old friend. We've been trying to get this guy in for 2 years now. He's very tough to book, apparently. Navin Narasimha, an old drinking buddy and gambling friend of ours, and we finally got him in here. We'll see if we'll see how he does under the pressure of being on on the show here. I think we're expecting 3-0, buddy.
All right. Thanks for the invite, by the way. I live across the block here, so it's pretty easy for me to get here.
2 years I've been trying to get you in here.
It's hard for me to get here.
You're a busy guy. Or
I know.
Maybe, I don't know what's happened here. You usually have pretty good picks. I mean, maybe I don't want you to show me up. Maybe that's why we've been.
And today I was actually not supposed to be here, but I'm getting a dishwasher installed, so I got to thank my girlfriend for actually letting the guy in today.
All right. Nice. Natasha, saving.
Thank you, Natasha. We appreciate
again,
that.
It would have been a scheduling problem, buddy. You're just
I'm
very
too busy. Yeah.
So I think it's all come together for a winning week for you. You made it here. It's the day after Christmas. Thanks. I know everybody's very busy, so I'm glad everybody could make it in here today. We're all sort of. I'm in a little bit of a food coma myself, but it was a great Christmas. I hope all you guys had a good one out there, and the season presses on. We can't take off for the holidays. We got to keep providing you with the picks. Like I mentioned earlier, we had a winning week last week. 7-5 is technically a winning week. We're hoping for a bigger one, but still we're in the black from last week. 75, 115, and 1 tie for the season. I don't know what to say about that.
How many games under 500 is that?
Let me see.
Can you do the
here.
math on that?
That's 40.
Two math guys in the room, by the way.
Calculator or 40 games?
Easy number.
Man.
Yeah, it's easy math. It's a nice smooth 40 units below 500. I went 2-1. Washington roll. I didn't expect that. Washington rolled Boise in the bowl game. That was a laugher. I complain every week. Houston, Tampa Bay. My over 49.5. They scored 34 points in the first half, 9 in the second half. A little disappointed. And Green Bay came through on Monday night. Sorry, Bill Lesko had to use your mushiness there to squeak out a winner.
That's a good angle, by the way.
Yes.
We need to send them out there more often.
If you ever need a winner, you just buy buy him
Willie.
a ticket to it's worth the investment. Ticket to the game, flight, and then just triple up your action there and get it back. Richard went 1 and 2. The Pittsburgh lost to the Jets. I don't know what to say about that.
The Red Hot Jets.
Oh yeah,
Unbelievable.
it was
Unbelievable.
crazy.
Yeah.
Must win.
Everybody loves Adam Gase now.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's crazy. Washington was a loser, and Kansas City rolled. Sorry to bring that up, Eric.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't expect.
It was a letdown spot for the.
It was a
Bears.
big. Yeah, I honestly thought they would play a little better than that. I was
I was
shocked.
surprised.
A little
I thought it was going to
shocked.
be a little closer. But,
Yeah.
you're gearing up Kansas City for the run here.
I think the Bears might have been looking ahead
to
to 2020
to golfing
next
in
year.
Florida.
to golf. Yeah, in Florida.
Jim Dodge 1 and 2. He lost on Buffalo. A ridiculous 2-point conversion. The Patriots always find a way, as they say.
That's
So
a bad
annoying.
beat.
Bad beat.
They should have covered that. Buffalo should have covered that game.
They were
That was the right
driving, too,
side.
for
That
a
was the
tying
right side.
touchdown,
Yeah,
yeah.
no.
So frustrating. And Dallas, I mean, I don't know what. I still don't understand. He's an Eagles fan, but he picked Dallas. It was some reverse mush angle he used that paid off.
Right.
In the,
he was hoping, he was hoping by picking Dallas that the Eagles would play better. And I was with him at the O'Neill's for that game. It was very entertaining because Dodge was there, and at the other end of the bar is a buddy of ours, Kurt, who's a big Cowboys fan, and it was very entertaining.
Dodge got mouthy, and a Philly fan got mouthy.
Yeah, go figure.
But why
right?
would you pick Prescott over the Eagles
He's
on the
trying
road?
to do a reverse mush. It's you. Listen, we can't try to figure his logic out.
The Eagles-
He's using his power for the
Yeah.
good of his team.
The Eagles
basically
win
is.
big games and the Cowboys lose big games.
Exactly.
So,
Arizona was a winner for him, and Andy went 3-0. I think he's a little upset we couldn't bring him back, but we had a Christmas. It's tough to get these guys in here, so sorry, Andy, buddy. Good job though. 3-0. Jets Steelers under winner. Atlanta winner, and the Saints and Titans went over. The parlay was a loser. Green Bay won. Buffalo and Tennessee both lost. We're gonna try to get it back this week. I won last week here to win the underdog parlay. So let's hope for a little post Christmas magic. All right, the playoff picture got a little more clear this week, but we still got some stuff to wrap up coming into Week 17. Teams still have a lot to play for. There's still home games, and there's still some interesting games coming up this week. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, there's actually only 2 playoff spots up for grabs. In the NFC, you have Dallas and Philly fighting for the NFC East title. And basically, Philly has the upper hand. If Philly wins, if they beat the Giants, they're in. Dallas needs Philly to lose, and they need to beat the Redskins. And then in the AFC, you have the wild card, the final wild card spot up for grabs. And in that case, Tennessee has the upper hand. Tennessee wins and they're in, and Pittsburgh needs Tennessee to lose, and they win and they're in. And Oakland actually has an outside shot.
They need like 5 things to find.
Navin can talk about this because he was going
I was
through
looking
this.
at this because I kind of love this kind of stuff. But a Pittsburgh loss, a Tennessee loss, a Colts win, a Raiders win, and I think one of 5 things to happen in terms of like a strength of victory, which is one is New England. So New England's going to beat Miami, so they're going to be fine. So if you look at those other 4 things with Oakland, Indy, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, it's not impossible that the Raiders actually could sneak in. The Colts, and we won't, give away the picks, but Colts you think are going to, handle Jacksonville. Tennessee and Houston. To me, Houston's at home. They can easily win that game. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. I know Baltimore's resting Jackson, but as RG3's playing, they're still the better team. Pittsburgh can easily lose that game. So, I give the Raiders maybe 25% chance if I was a betting man.
Then they need Miami to beat New England. Is that what you
and
said?
Miami to beat New England to clinch the
There's the
strength of
snafu.
victory
Yeah.
tiebreaker.
There's a
Can you
snafu
imagine?
right there.
But there are a couple other things outside of New England beating Miami where they could still get. And I think the Chargers beat the Chiefs, or there's a couple Cincy beating Cleveland, things like that.
It's not crazy.
Yeah,
it's not crazy. And they also needed, I think, 4 things to happen last week,
Right.
and all 4 of them happened. So it's like they need a 9-game parlay, and they have 4 of them in.
Yeah.
It's not outrageous, but it's going to take a bunch of things.
And the thing is that all these games are being played simultaneously, so they're even going into the 4:00 games, they're still going to have a chance, right? So they're not going to be eliminated at 1:00. So the 4:00s are going to be fun in that sense because all these teams are playing at the same time.
Right. And you also have a lot of seeding possibilities. We maybe won't get into all of them, but the NFC, the really interesting game is the 49ers-Seahawks game because you have a game there where the 49ers, if they win, they're getting the number 1 seed, and if they lose, they're getting the number 5 seed. So that's a huge game for them. And Seattle, if they win, they're probably getting the 3 seed because you see New Orleans and Green Bay have relatively easy games. And if they lose, they'll get the 5 seed. So that's a big-time game. And, so the NFC, even though 5 of the 6 spots are determined, the seeding can change quite a bit. So there are a lot of games that are somewhat meaningful. And I love the fact that they have all division games because you still have teams that are probably going to try to play spoiler. And I think there are a lot of interesting games from that perspective.
Teams out there with nothing to lose. It's going to be, there's always a few teams that win for no reason. So it's we try to navigate that a little bit, try to be a little cautious. We also on Saturday have the college football playoffs. Awesome. This is there's 3 powerhouses and 1 semi, outsider. But these games are usually like I've said before. At least one of them is usually a great game. So definitely tune into that. It should be. There's also a bunch of other bowl games, but you got LSU is playing Oklahoma.
That's the first
the
game.
first
I think
game,
the Clemson-Ohio State game is the
Ohio
game
State at
more
night. Wow,
That's the marquee.
Right, that's the marquee game because
what a
those are
game.
2 great programs, undefeated this year. One's the defending national champion, and
Must see TV.
That's going to be and the point spread is 2, and you have strong opinions on both sides of that game. I have a strong opinion on that game that we'll get to.
Get into that.
But that should be a great game. And the other game, LSU should win that game, but they're a big favorite. And, you could see them maybe looking ahead a little bit. I think you can maybe make an argument for Oklahoma, but we'll talk more about that. But I love the football playoff. And I think this year is a year it's good they have it because if they just had one game, what 2 teams would you put in? You'd have to leave out either Clemson or Ohio State. And
you can't leave out Clemson.
You couldn't, right? You can't leave out Clemson.
No, Ohio State would have screamed, obviously. But,
right, right. But it would have been one of those years people would be like clamoring for a playoff. And I know Oklahoma's kind of on the outside looking in, and maybe they're not as good as those top 3. But I really think that I'm really looking forward to the playoff and into the final game this year.
What do you think a theoretical line would be on LSU versus Ohio State and Clemson? That would be interesting.
I don't know.
That could be like a 3, maybe -3 LSU.
Yeah,
I think it'll be somewhere around 3.5. It could depend on how these games go and how badly
impressive
LSU beats
LSU looks
Oklahoma. Right, but I would my first thought would be probably around the field
LSU
goal.
beats Oklahoma.
I know.
They're playing the game still. You never know.
Well, but the point I'm making is if we assume LSU is in, which is I think what we're doing, I think that game will determine because I think the Clemson-Ohio State game is probably going to be a close game.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Right.
All right, and away we go. Final week for we'll be doing the playoffs, but this is it. Final week with the full card. Final chance for us to go 12-0. We'll see what happens. I'm jumping in right off the bat. I'm taking New Orleans. They need to win. They're playing at Carolina. Carolina is on they're playing their 3rd-string quarterback. They have an intern coach. I looked. They've only covered once in the last 7 weeks, so it's a lot of points. But give me the Saints in a game they need, and I'll lay the 13 happily.
I like this pick, and Carolina looks like they've just given up. They've packed it in. Since they fired Rivera, it seems like the team doesn't like the fact that he got fired. And that it hasn't. Sometimes you fire a coach and the team starts playing better.
Yeah, it's gonna be a rallying cry. It's not been.
Not at all. All right, for my first pick. All right, I'm going to one of the big college games. I'm going to take Clemson.
Nice.
They're a 2-point favorite. They're playing Ohio State. This is a game, there are strong opinions on both sides, but this is the way I look at it. Clemson has been there before. They've been in the big spot. They're the defending national champion. They've been undefeated, but they're only the 3 seed. And I think the coach is great at motivating his team, and I think he's going to use that as a motivating factor. Here we are, we're undefeated, we're defending national title holders, but we're only the 3 seed. And I like the fact that they're only given 2. I love their defensive coordinator. I know Ohio State's been rolling, but I got to see that D coordinator on Clemson figuring stuff out and figuring out a way to shut them down. I say take Clemson as a small favorite.
And this is a rookie coach for Ohio State. I know that they had, they're a great program, but this is an Urban Meyer in the game, right?
Right.
It's I think
Big
it's
spot for
Ryan Day.
Yeah,
that's right.
The guy's
For
name.
Adam Wade's.
Adam Wade's not
buddy.
going to be happy about
Yeah.
this pick. This is the guy who rode the school bus with Adam Wade.
Yeah, I like-
a few years ago.
I like Clemson a lot in this game, and one of the big reasons, and it may not be a huge factor, but Ohio State's quarterback's a little banged up, especially with the ankle. And, I could see the defense trying to force him to move in the pocket a little bit more and try to throw off that ankle or make that the big ankle right or left, which could play a factor. It might change the throwing angles for him a little bit. You go for everything, right?
I agree. And one of the storylines is Clemson has faced a weak schedule, and that's been true for the most part. But Ohio State has not faced a team like Clemson. They haven't faced a defense like Clemson. So I want to flip that over and look at it from that perspective.
Apparently not Michigan either, who plays no defense.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
Yeah, especially in a big game.
Oh my God! So for my pick, I went with all underdogs. My first underdog is Seattle at home, getting 3.5 against the 49ers.
Game
I think
of the
that's
week.
I think that's the way to go on that game. Seattle's tough at home. I know this year they haven't played that well. For them, they haven't played that well at home, but they're just a good team. They lost last week in a game they probably should not have lost. I think they have something to prove, and I think with a little mojo on their side, they went out and they brought back beast mode.
Yeah, they signed.
So
that's amazing that they brought him back. Hopefully, he didn't bring him back to not run him from the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl.
Right,
To the
exactly.
Patriots.
Exactly. So I think all that plays in, and then you have the 12th guy that they always talk about in Seattle. So which is the fans. So I think it's a good game for Seattle.
Big spot for Jimmy G. I can say I like this pick. Seattle's got the experience.
Home underdog
Yeah.
in Seattle. Love it. So for my first pick, I'm going to take Air Force minus 2.5 against Washington State. This is the Cheez-It Bowl, actually. And
yeah.
if
Friday
people-
night, 10
yeah,
o'clock.
If people recall the Cheez-It Bowl last year, it was TCU and Cal. It was the game where there were 9 interceptions, and the game was 10-7 in overtime.
Very exciting.
I expect this one to be a little more entertaining than that game. And as an avid listener to Picks from the Yard, I know Air Force has been a team that Richard especially has liked. I think they beat Colorado early in the year on the road. So give me Air Force minus 2.5. I also think motivation is always a key in a bowl game, right? You have Washington State, who is a mediocre team in the Pac-12, which is a mediocre conference. They're 6-6. I don't see a lot of motivation. Air Force 10-2 had a great year. This will cap their year off. You're only have to cover by a field goal. Give me Air Force, and also that flex bone option that Air Force runs. It's impossible to, even with the 4 weeks or 3 weeks they've had to prepare. I don't see Washington State stopping them.
I love Air Force as a program, and I'm always looking at them week to week for a reason to bet them. And I love them in this spot because they're playing a team that doesn't know how to prepare, and it's hard. I agree. I think it's hard to prepare for the way they run their offense. So I like them. Small favorite. I agree with this pick.
I'm taking Cincinnati getting 3 at home. They locked up. They did it. They accomplished their goal. They locked up the number 1 pick last week. So they got, there's nothing to really, they're playing with house money at this point. And you have Cleveland rolling into town, who has been, they did not fail. They disappointed as we had rooted for. They've been very disappointing. So we're going to cap it with a final loss here going into Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been playing a little better, and Cleveland is definitely, with all those head cases on that team, team. I can't imagine them putting much of an effort in here. I'm sure the coach wants someone because his job is in trouble, but that squad is going to phone this one in. Give me Cincy as a home dog here.
Yeah, it sounds like the players want to be traded. They want out of there. The coach is the only one talking about like how this is a big game, but I don't think the players want to play for this coach.
Beckham doesn't care about this game. Landry doesn't care about this game.
Right.
Hunt probably doesn't care about this game.
No,
either,
I like it. For my second pick, I'm going to take Denver in a spoiler role against Oakland. Denver's at home. They're given 3.5 points. Denver has been playing sneakily well this season, and in spots they've been good, and I love the fact that there's no pressure on them. Oakland needs this game. Oakland, as we were talking about, needs a bunch of things to happen to get in, but Oakland's been very spotty this year. Other than last week when they played a San Diego team who seems even more checked out of San Diego. I keep doing that. The Los Angeles Chargers, we can leave that in. Other than that spot, Oakland's been terrible. They lost their last home game at the Oakland Coliseum against Jacksonville, and they just look like they're not playing well at the end of the year, and Denver is. And I love the fact that you have this rivalry game, and Denver can play the spoiler. So take Denver, give the 3.5 points.
I think this is a great pick. I love Denver. Well, my guy is there, Vic Fangio, and big defensive guy playing in cold weather. Denver's been playing much better, much more solid the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's a great pick. I really love that pick.
And the quarterback looks okay, right? This guy looks all right.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be all right.
And they rolled the Texans in Houston. I know Texans have been playing really well, and they win there. I think that was like a 38-10 or 38-17, something like that.
For my second pick, I'm going with the home team here. I'm taking the Giants +4 versus Philly.
I love it. Please ruin Philly's season.
That's the big part there. First off, I think the NFC East has been a joke. Even with the teams that are fighting to win and be in the playoffs, there's really not a big difference between them and the two teams that aren't in it. The Giants have been playing a little bit better. They've won 2 in a row. My biggest problem with the Giants, my only fear in this game is their defense. They kind of let Washington back in the game last week, and they should have really just nailed that down shut, and they ended up in overtime. They won the game, but because their defense really didn't have to take the field again, which is probably why they won that game. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the Giants +4. They're at home. Who knows? Eli might show up. You never know.
He might still be hungover from the Green Rock on Sunday.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They were in celebrating their win in Hoboken last week.
And
quite the hoopla. Danny
Dimes looked really good with five TDs last week. So, I don't know. We'll see. It might be fun.
For my second pick, I'm taking the Colts over the Jaguars. Indy's -3.5. There have been a lot of stories about Tom Coughlin the last week. He obviously was fired, I think, probably 2 weeks ago. And there was a lot of disdain, I think, by the players. He went back into his micromanaging roles, and obviously the one story we've always heard about Tom Coughlin is he sets the clock, so to make sure that the players are actually there on time. So
I would not work well with Tom Coughlin.
That would be a problem.
He sets the clocks ahead.
Your whole salary would be in his pocket.
So the owner actually fired him and set the clocks back to the normal time. So that was.
Really? Yeah.
So
wait, is Tom Coughlin looking for a job?
Well, he's not going to get it.
Can I hire him as Bubba's butler, maybe?
Yeah. And as a Giant fan, it's very sacrilegious for me to knock Tom Coughlin, but it does sound like he went in there and basically ruined what was a good and up and coming team. Remember, I know 2 years ago they're a play away from the Super Bowl against the Pats, and now it's gone downhill.
Somebody has to explain to Coughlin, you have to handle these millennials gingerly.
Right.
You can't be putting very strict orders on them. They get very upset.
Traded Jalen Ramsey away. Foles was a disastrous signing. I know Dodge doesn't want to hear that, but that whole program has gone awry. I like the Colts. They've had a lot of injuries this year, but they can finish 8-8. So I'll take the -3.5 for the Colts.
I'm taking the other big college game on Saturday. I'm going to take the points. LSU has looked pretty dominant, but I'm getting Oklahoma. I've got a great coach, a great quarterback, and I'm getting 13.5. Give me those points. I cannot pass up this opportunity here. They've got nothing to lose. They're basically, they're the fourth team in the country, but they're kind of a spoiler in this whole, scenario. So I'm not passing up on this opportunity to get Oklahoma plus 13.5.
I like the fact that last year they were in a similar spot. They were a big underdog to an SEC team, Alabama. They were getting crushed, and they came back and had a nice backdoor cover. So for one thing, they're going to keep playing all the way through. And LSU, you could maybe think they're looking ahead a little bit. I don't want to say they're taking them lightly, but they might hold back a little bit stuff in their playbook for the following week, which will be the big game. So I like the 13.5 here. All right, I'm picking another college game for my third pick. I'm taking another program that I really like picking, especially as an underdog, Iowa State. They're getting 3.5 points. They're playing Notre Dame in one of the warm-up bowls on Saturday. I think it's at 12 noon on Saturday. You have a situation here where Notre Dame's had a pretty good season. They only have 2 losses. They're, I think, ranked 15th. And when you look at the record, Iowa State, I believe, is 7-5. But if you look at the way they played, they were in a lot of games. And they lost to Oklahoma by 1 in a game where they could have tied it, but they went for 2 at the end. They're a good, tough, resilient team. And I think they're psyched to be in a big-time bowl, whereas Notre Dame
got to be a little disappointed.
So you look at motivation here, and I think Iowa State has all the motivation. And I like the hook here because I think even if you lose, you could definitely see them keeping it close and getting
Notre Dame always draws a lot of money, so I always feel like you're getting a little extra bonus point or two when you pick against them.
And it's fun to root against Notre Dame.
Always great to do it.
Well, I know Iowa State has been a big program that Rich has liked a lot, and they usually do a good job of covering. So I like to pick too. I think Notre Dame, it's a letdown a little bit for them, and Iowa State's totally pumped to play Notre Dame and also be in a bowl game. So I love the pick.
I got to give Eric an assist on this pick because I was wavering, and Eric said, "Oh, you love Iowa State." So also, I may blame him if they don't.
There it is.
There it is. All right. Well, I stuck with the NFL. I liked a lot of the college games, but I did stick with the NFL. And, of course, my last pick has to be the Bears.
The Bears, the homer pick.
The Bears are getting 1 at the Vikings. Now, if you remember last year, the Bears were going to the playoffs. They didn't really need the game against the Vikings, the last game of the season. They did go to Minnesota, though, and beat the Vikings, which kicked the Vikings out of the playoffs last year. Now it's a little bit reversed, but the Bears are already out. The Vikings are already in. So this game doesn't mean a whole lot on that level. But the Bears seem to have the Vikings number. I think the Bears have a little bit to play for in the sense of finishing 8-8, also finishing on a high note. They've lost 2 games. One game I think they were really in and had a shot at against Green Bay in Green Bay. They play their NFC North rivals really tough, regardless of where they're at. And they've kind of had the Vikings number over the last couple of years.
Minnesota's got nothing to play for.
And Minnesota, they're the 6th seed regardless. So they might even start resting guys. You never know. So I like the Bears with the +1.
And then my third pick, which is a similar philosophy to Eric's pick of the Bears, I'm actually taking the Jets +2 over Buffalo.
Yes.
Buffalo.
I love taking the last Jets game of the year, buddy.
Buffalo, again, locked into their seed. They're the 5 seed. They'll most likely be at Houston. The Jets obviously had a disastrous start to the year. They were 1-7, and now they recovered. They're 5-2 in their last 7. Finishing 6-2 is a great second half for them. Avoid double-digit losses, which I think they've now had 3 straight double-digit losing seasons. I think that's the number. Gase, they finally bought into Gase's system. I think Darnold's been playing a lot better. Adams obviously has been the best defender in the league. So give me the Jets +2. I think they finish off the season strong. I can also see this scenario where, the Bills fall down, let's say 3-0, 7-0. They know they're playing next week.
Nobody get injured.
Here come the second string, and then you'll ride this one, and this could be kind of a blowout.
All right, the Moneyline Underdog Parlay, 0-16, last chance for me here. I'm gonna have to tweak it a little bit. The 3 games I like didn't quite pay off. We want to get our money back here, so I'm going with a 4-teamer this week to try to net a little profit on the season. Give me 3. Give me the Bears, Eric. I like that angle. A couple of home dogs. I'm taking Cincy. I'm taking Seattle, and give me Iowa State to beat Notre Dame. Hopefully, if the first 3 come in, you'll be watching the Seattle game, paying off a nice juicy 28-1 4-teamer bonus this week. We're gonna get our money back and then some.
I like, and your record is good. I feel at the end of the year, right? Whether it's on this or the YouTube series, I feel like when it's really down to the pressure,
when it's meaningless, I shine. Much like the Jets, not much to play for at this point. But let's try for a 4. We can't win a 3-team. You know what? We'll win a 4-teamer just to really to end the season on a high note. Get involved.
I don't fear anything, anyone, anyone. I'm a freak, so dress like you, act like you want me to. I'm a freak.
All right, no Clegg's Corner this week. We gave Clegg is off on holiday for Christmas, 1 and 2 last week, so we're gonna give him a little respite here. He didn't send any picks for Richard to pump up this week, so he'll be back in studio next week. Hopefully, he's retweaking his.
He
system.
will. I know he's psyched though because there's going to be a soccer franchise in Charlotte, and maybe we'll talk about that more. He may be down there applying for a job right now as we speak, but we'll talk more about that next week. I think he's going to have a new team in the MLS moving forward.
All right, and we'll get some MLS action in. I like it. Another place for me to give my money away. All right, I'm going to give a quick recap of our picks here so you can jot these winners down. I'm going with New Orleans -13, Cincy +3, and Oklahoma +13.5. Richard's got Clemson -2, Denver -3.5, and Iowa State +3.5. Cousin Eric, Seattle +3.5, the Giants +4, and his Bears +1. And Navin's got Air Force -2.5, Indy -3.5, and the Jets +2, calling for a possible route, maybe some alternate line action out there as Buffalo will have their 3rd stringers in place, resting up. The moneyline underdog parlay, we're gonna do a 4-teamer this week. I'm going for broke. I mean, broke is where I'm at so far at 0-16. So give me Chicago, Cincy, Iowa State, and Seattle. Hopefully it'll be live Sunday night for that Seattle game at 28-1. We plugged all 12 teams one last shot. It's the Super Parlay into the DraftKings app, and that pays a juicy $2,625 to 1. Get involved, people. All right, anything we want to plug this week?
Yeah, well, I want to actually thank the NBA because they gave all of us New York Knicks fans a big Christmas present. The Knicks did not play on Christmas Day, finally. So we didn't have to suffer and watch our team. And I believe they're playing today, which is appropriate. Yeah, the day after Christmas, because that's when they have the discounts, like the deals, right? The Knicks are a day after Christmas kind of team, right? You get
exactly.
the discounts,
right,
the
discounts,
the gifts that no one else wants. You know, it's like the land of the misfit toys.
Basement,
Yeah, perfect.
A franchise there playing. They got fired from Christmas, which is
good.
I mean,
it's
I was a little
time.
upset though because they always provide. We always
That's
bet
true,
against
actually,
them.
we bet against them. So yeah, we lost out on that.
You got Eric. Anything you want to plug?
I'm actually with a theater company in New York. It's called Paper Kids Theater Company, and we are doing a show in the Winterfest this year in New York City, and it's the end of February 24th. February 26th and February 29th. If you're interested in any of those kind of shows, you can go to NewYorkFestivalTickets.com and take a look at that. But it's we're doing a play called Lovesick. It's a bunch of individual scenes about relationships and things like that. So it's interesting.
Will provide any answers for us? Relationship answers?
It'll just make it more murky.
Oh, you're going to complicate things? That's good.
Complicate it even more.
Nice.
I'm going to go ahead and plug today is Boxing Day, but I'm not sure what that means exactly. I know it's a big holiday. What's Boxing Day? Educate me here.
My guess is, and I thought and if anybody wants to correct me, I think it's just people actually were bringing their Christmas gifts back, so they would just box them up, and that's what Boxing Day was.
We should have probably looked this up.
We probably should have
Well,
looked it up, though.
From what I've heard, the Boxing Day is, and I think this is correct, is for all the people that worked on Christmas, especially like butlers and people like that worked in homes, the owners of those homes would give them the extra food that was left over, everything else, and it was obviously put in a box, and they would take it home. So, and they would take it home on the 26th, which would be the day after Christmas. So, therefore, they called it Boxing Day, and that's when all of them kind of had their Christmas because they didn't have to work. So that's what I've heard. Anybody that's UK...
Well, it sounds better than my explanation. So.
can probably...
It sounds like a holiday for bartenders and
That's right, exactly.
Folks. So,
maybe you should start celebrating
Boxing
it.
Day for I think any excuse to go out and have a couple.
And there's a huge soccer schedule today. I think all 20 teams are playing. Maybe two of them aren't. So if you
want to dabble
in the Premier League, you can. I'm just going to plug the fact that I'm moving from Hoboken to Jersey City. So now I've become a bit of a Jersey City.
Yeah, he's Mr. Jersey City now all of a sudden.
But it's been 20 years in Hoboken. It's been a great run. I'm only moving like 10 minutes away. But I want, I'm getting kind of the best of both worlds.
A lot of bartenders are going to be a sad farewell for a guy who was very supportive of
my
the bar.
appearances.
Right. I mean, they lose Andy LaGreca, and now they're losing Navin. I mean, come on. It's terrible.
The economy of Hoboken's going down. Maybe Mayor Bala should give me some tax breaks that I could still stay in Hoboken.
Couple last drunk nights for him in town. Catch him while you can. I want to thank the guests quickly for coming out the day after Christmas. I appreciate it. I know everybody's schedule's a little hectic. Richard, Salvatore, my brother, we had a great Christmas yesterday.
It was a great Christmas. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
My cousin Eric comes in. We get him in over the holiday every year. Thanks a lot, buddy.
I'm glad to be here on Boxing Day.
Boxing Day. And Navin, finally got you in here, pal. We expect
Before the big
3-0.
move.
Thanks for having me. This is one of those Thursdays where I'm actually not doing some work, so I was glad to be here. I had a lot of fun.
Nice. And now if we get you in here next year, we're gonna have to. It's a big commute for you.
I
Yeah, I
know.
know. I got to come. Yeah,
Another
so far.
big plan.
Yeah, right on the light rail there, right there.
Big,
So.
full slate of soccer today. Some bowl games. There's bowl games all weekend long, so it's gonna be. This is a great time of year if you're partial to wagering. There's a lot of interesting games out there to go out and make some money. I love it. It's just it's a nice bonus gift for all the gamblers out there. All this action. So get out there, get involved. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe. We're on Apple, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe at our website, picksfromtheyard.com. Visit the website for all of our archived and bonus episodes and more content. For comments, criticisms, and challenges to Wayne, email us at pftypod@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to get back to you. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're at PFTYPod on social media. Remember, gambling on sports is entertainment. Please don't overdo it. If you or someone you know is in over their head, call 800-GAMBLER for help. The Picks from the Yard podcast is produced by Van Vorst Films in Hoboken, New Jersey. Our music is Anticipation by the Gefkins. Check them out on Spotify. We'll be back next week. Get involved.